Gotta turn on my mic. Hello and welcome out to this episode. Trying to make sure things go professional and smooth. Oh well, we're not gonna edit that. Anyway, trying to make sure things go good, but that's okay. So, Outbreak Gamers, that's what we're here for, and Influencers, a series that I'm doing, and I have a very special guest with me today, the MAGG. MAGG, how you doing, sir?
I am excellent, Dave. I'm glad to be here. Actually, it's exciting to be here, and I'm honestly, I gotta say, I'm honored that you include me in the list of this great Hall of Fame list of video game influencers, which is kind of funny because I actually told my wife, I'm like, honey, look, I'm a video game influencer now, and then she's like, just shut up and go do the show, and I'm like, all right, I'm going downstairs right now because I showed her a little screenshot that you had there of the opening frame, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, it's been a journey. I mean, it's only been a year and a half I've been in this game, but I figured with all that lost time, I better hit hard.
Yeah.
Right. So I figured, you know what? I could have been doing this 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. But I just started a year and a half ago and I said, that's it. I got to make up for lost time. So let's get to it. So I went in there head first and just kept going. So, but anyways, and here I am. I'm glad to be here.
Well, dude, thank you so much for your time today and for
Of course.
coming on. And yeah, I consider you an influencer. Dude, you've got several things, not only appearances and guest appearances that you're on, and a panel that you're on weekly. But I mean, you have put out some tweets, videos that have say ruffled a little feathers here and there sometimes. But
Yeah, it's
that's
kinda
the
what I
fun,
do.
you know.
Yeah.
It's all in jest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. He laughs
Some
at all.
people don't take it that way. Man,
Humor.
they get a little bit too in their feels. But hey, you know, that's part of the game, right? It's just no
There you
pun
go.
intended.
There you
But
go. So let me start off with
yes.
I guess how you got into gaming at all. I mean, obviously you play games, and where did you
Mhm.
get started on that?
Man, well, rewind the clocks, folks. It's gonna go back way back to the disco days, and I'm not even kidding. We're
Nice.
talking the very first time I touched a video game was 1979. And that was at my aunt and uncle's house. My aunt and uncle had one of those wood paneled Pongs, right?
Very cool.
You hear that, Pong Soul? Anyways, yeah, it was a wood paneled Pong and with the knobs, the one with the knobs. And so he had it there and it was hooked up. And of course, it had like 3 games? It was like handball or 4 games. It was handball, there was tennis, and no, it's just 3. And I think it was hockey was the other one, right? And they had the stupid things with the little goals and whatever. And you could speed it up, you could slow it down, and you could put and so when we got better at it, we would put it even faster so that our reactions would get better and whatever. My brother and I would play it. Like as soon as we go to my aunt and uncle's house, we would go straight down. We wouldn't even say hi. We'd just be like, hi, and like kick our shoes off, run downstairs and turn on Pong. And we would play that until we left, and then my parents would be upstairs, drinking coffee and, smoking cigarettes and doing this and talking and blah, blah, whatever the hell people did in the 70s, probably snorted Coke for all I know. But anyways, they're doing whatever they're doing upstairs. And my brother and I are playing Pong downstairs. And it was great. And so that's where it happened. It wasn't like oh, this is fun, and then just go away. It was like I got gobsmacked, like just sucker punched, and said, what is this realm? What is this medium of entertainment? Before it was just cartoons, my parents reading a bedtime story, and the occasional Star Wars toy, which are probably worth $1 million now. And I've destroyed and melted them and ruined every single one of them, by the way. But yeah, I had the original 1977 like Star Wars toys. I could have bought 7 houses with that. But instead, I decided to throw them down like the chimney chute instead as a 5-year-old. But anyways, that's what we used to do for entertainment, right? Watch cartoons, play with our toys, parents read bedtime stories, doing a puzzle, whatever, right? And so now all of a sudden, then this came along, and I just went, hey, all that other stuff is really cool, but you're going to the back burner. Because this, whatever the hell this is, I want in, and I want to know more about it. And then it kind of morphed from there. I would say 1979 to about 1982, our exposure was still basically that. And we were still too young at that point. Like I was only like 6, like 5, like between 5 and 7 years old, right? And we were still too young to go to the mall or anything like that on our own. We were like little babies, right? But when my mom would go to the mall, obviously she would have the two of us in tow, and she'd drag us to the mall to go do whatever the hell she had to do, buy bell bottoms or whatever. And anyways, doing their thing, and then we'd walk by the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
And all you would hear is that conglomerate of like, like 8 million machines all going at once, kind of like a casino, like a casino.
Yeah.
When you walk through the casino and all you hear is like a million different bells. And it was that, and it just draws you, right? So you look and you're like, what the hell was that? And you look and you're like, oh, you know that thing that Uncle Tony and Aunt Fausta have? Like, there's a whole room full of them, like of better ones. And so then slowly but surely it got to that point where it was just like, Mom, can I have a quarter? And then my brother would be like, can I have a quarter? Can I have a quarter? And then we'd only get a couple of quarters. You can afford more. I don't know how I've heard other guys like my age or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, my mom used to give me $10 a quarter. I'm like, $10? My mom gave me 50 cents for the whole day. And so I'd have to like pick a game that I knew I could spend a lot of time on. And I would walk around with a sweaty quarter for like 2 hours because I knew that as soon as that quarter was done, I had to leave. So anyways, then we started the arcades, right? So we started playing all that. Frogger, Asteroids, Mario Brothers, not Super Mario Brothers, folks. Right. Mario Brothers, you remember that? Where they used to run and all the turtles and knock them on the shells and you kick them off the screen. Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Dragon's Lair, hardest game on earth. Love it. All those kind of games, great games. And we did all that. And then one day, that went on. I got to say, that went on for quite a while. But I got to say, one day my dad came home with a PC Junior computer, by PC. This thing cost like $3,000 and it had 128K memory on it.
Yeah.
Okay, like it had nothing. It was ridiculous. Like if you wanted to like install a game on this thing, it would take you like a day and a half. So like, but my dad, then this is where my true love came into it, is my dad bought a game called King's Quest. And if anybody knows what King's Quest is out there, what King's Quest is, those are the old Sierra games, right? The old Sierra games from the 80s. And then I realized, okay, this is not the beep boop beeps of the arcades. This isn't Mario with the hammer trying to get to Donkey Kong. This isn't Miss Pac-Man just eating pellets for no reason whatsoever. Now we're playing adventure games with a story. And I was like, what the hell is this now? Now you've got this medium as now sort of amalgamated with my other forms of entertainment. So that's where it really came together for me, where you see something like, okay, video games were right here. And then on the other side of the coin, I had movies, television, books, because yes, we still read books in the 80s, right? And so then they somehow melded those two worlds together. And I'm like, how is it possible that they made a video game that has a story, characters, there were threats and dangers. There were, you know what I mean? Like there were MacGuffins in there. There were like, you know what I mean? Like all these crazy things. And I'm like, this is what I've truly been waiting for. And we became obsessed, because then it got to the point where now you had like literally an entire kingdom. And my dad, funny enough, who's not really a gamer, really got into it to the point where he actually took pieces of paper and he would draw each screen and created a map. And he stuck all he literally scotch taped all the pages together. A crazy guy, like a Unabomber. And they taped like a newspaper articles together. My dad did that with like the map, and we had an entire King's Quest map that he hand drew.
That's cool.
So that you knew, like, if you had to go get like whatever the enchanted bucket from like the well, you knew that it was 4 screens over to your left and 2 up.
Yeah.
Right. So we would do that. We go, okay, 4 left from the castle, and then 2 up, and then that's where the well was, and then we had to go do whatever we had to do with the well or whatever. Anyway, the point is that we became obsessed with it, and then of course from there, our thirst, grew even more and more and more. Then it turned into King's Quest 2, King's Quest 3, Police Quest came out, then Space Quest came out, then other action adventure games came out, light RPGs started to come out, and we started getting into all those. And then my brother, my younger brother, he's only a year younger than me, he ended up getting an NES for his birthday. and it was a big deal. All right, because we
Oh
never had a
yeah.
console. That was our very first console was the NES. And of course, it came with Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. You remember that? It was like the two
Oh
package,
yes. Heck
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So it was the two package deal. And we didn't have a lot of games at that time. We weren't suffering for money or anything. It's just that they didn't put any money into it. Like they buy us a game. You might get a game at your birthday, and you might
Yeah.
get a game at Christmas.
Yeah.
So like that's it. Like you ain't getting nothing else. Like it's not like you can go out and like now, like Game Pass. My kids can go sit down and play 600 games.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like that. So like we would start to get creative. It got to the point where after beating Mario like I don't know 180 times and knowing all the cheats and knowing anything without the internet, folks,
Yeah.
we would start hiding behind couches with the gun, the light gun, and then you'd wait for the of like the ducks, and then we would jump up and start shooting like the ducks and whatever. And like so we would do all these things to like try and make it more challenging.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of games, right? And then
Right.
some of the neighbors started buying them. They got them. Then we started trading games with each other. Then it became a community. And we're like, holy cow, this is amazing. Now, then that's when the gaming community sort of came together. However, again, no online, no telephones. I mean, well, we had telephones, but I mean, you know, we didn't use it for that. No cell phones, nothing like that. Gaming community was literally in the schoolyard. So, like, we would bring cartridges to school. Of course, our parents would never know because they'd kill us if they found out we were bringing $100 cartridges to school, especially like in the 80s, because they were $100. So we would trade them with each other. Okay, you give me Double Dribble, I'll give you Super Mario Brothers, this and that, whatever. And then we talk about it and whatever. And then one guy bought a Sega Master System, and we're like, oh, what is that? And we're like, it's like so foreign to us. So we go to his house after school, start playing the Sega Master System, and then on and on and on and on and on from there. I do have a funny story for you, though. That NES. Listen to this. You ready for this? By the time I got to grade 8 or grade 9, somewhere around there, the report card came out. At that time, then, by the way, this is when 80s video stores start to pop up. Okay, like there was one. I don't know if it's. I don't know if it was in the States. It's called Jumbo Video. It was a big elephant or whatever. This is before even Blockbuster Video. And this Jumbo Video and some other places, whatever, they started renting video games.
Yeah.
So that became a thing. So for like $1.99, you could rent a game instead of paying $80 in the store for a cartridge.
Yeah.
So we started doing that. So then I started playing more and more and more and more. And I became more and more of a gamer that I became a hardcore gamer. Right to the point that I failed it was either grade 8 or grade 9 science class, whatever. The teacher gave me, you ready for this? She hated my guts anyway, so it didn't really make a difference. She gave me a 49%. Wow. And I'm like, if that's not trolling, I don't know what the hell is, right? So I'm just like, okay, she totally trolled me there. Gave me a 49. Whatever. I lived with it. But my dad didn't. Because my dad saw that we were playing like the Nintendo all the time or whatever, right? So in a fit of rage, it was like kind of like the ending of Casino. You remember that movie Casino?
Yes.
You know where they beat Joe Pesci to death with the baseball bats and then they roll him into the grave? My dad did that with the NES while my brother and I watched. So he literally dragged the NES outside, my skateboard at the time, and with a sledgehammer, I swear to God, I'm not even making this up. And I hope, and you know what, he's probably going to listen to this later. With a sledgehammer, he slammed the Nintendo, all the games. He destroyed my skateboard, the whole 9 yards. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't even my Nintendo; it was my poor brother's. Oh. But yeah, no kidding, right? But because of me, then he got it smashed up. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, no kidding. And anyways, that was that. So what we ended up having to do, it got to the point then all of a sudden, like video games were like taboo in my house, right? Because, you know, you can't fail anything. My dad's in the medical business. And so like, you know, everything, all his report cards were like either 99 or 100, right? Yeah. So like, I mean, he wasn't expecting that from us, but at the same time, it was like, you know, the level was here. So like, anyways, video games became taboo. So basically at this point, now I'm a teenager. So then I either had to go out, so I go to the arcades and all that kind of stuff, whatever, right? And spend time there. Or I'd go to my friends' houses and play their games, whatever. And here's another thing we did is my dad's PCs kept getting better and better and better. As each year came out, he would always buy a new PC. Well, they were powerful enough to run any video game you wanted. So what we started doing is we started creating subdirectories inside the hard drive and label it like Anthony's homework or something. And then inside there, you'd click on it and it would be like Double Dragon or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there'd be
yeah.
like video games hidden inside those things so that when my dad wasn't home or my parents were upstairs or sleeping, you go into that little subcategories and then we would pull up the video games and then my brother and I would be playing like Double Dragon and stuff and all these other games, whatever, right? So
Yeah.
and we did all that kind of stuff. And then then the 90s arcade boom happened, and this happened with like what's it called? Street Fighter 2.
Yep.
That was the big one. And Mortal Kombat, like shortly after, right? But Street Fighter 2 was the king of the block. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
We had this sort of, especially up here I'm up here in Toronto. We have a pretty big melting pot of like different cultures and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
It was always well known within all the circles of all the arcades that white people suck at Street Fighter. It was an Asian thing because all the Asian kids knew how to play Street Fighter because they were playing it back in China. They were playing it back in, not in China, in Hong Kong and in Japan, well before we got it. And then a lot of those kids came and migrated over here with their families and so forth, right? So they were already like a year on us, so that they used to make fun of us all the time and saying that, because like they were saying like, oh, the white kids can't play Street Fighter or whatever. So I befriended one who actually, funny enough, ended up becoming a Chinese triad, like we're talking like mafia stuff.
Wow.
And I told him, I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, I feel like Doctor Strange, like in the first movie, it's like, teach me. And it was kind of like that kind of moment, right?
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, listen, his name is Lawrence. And I'm like, Lawrence, teach me. Please, teach me. And he's like, fine. So we started playing. And it was like Jedi. It was like Jedi training. He would show me all the tricks of the trade. How to do fireballs in midair in the turbo editions, how to be able to zip off the screen and come around to the other side of the screen, doing things like that, how to do uppercuts while in the midst of jumping, little things like this. He would teach me all these tricks. Don't ever use heavy attacks, use light attacks, do this and that, because light attacks, you can do combos and this and that, whatever. And another crazy thing, if you can believe it, and this was a thing, they also had a thing where like a guys, because remember in those days, like in arcades, you could smoke and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of guys, when they were playing, you take a smoke and then they put it on top of either the 1 or the 2 player button and let it sit there. But the dirty players would actually hold the cigarette in their hand with the ash end facing towards the other player. I swear to God, this is the thing, eh? And so if you try to do a fireball like this and your hand would move, your hand would get burned by the guy's cigarette.
Huh.
So you'd go like this and like, do button moves and all this kind of stuff. And he'd have the cigarette facing you. And so whenever you tried to do a fireball, you do like a spinning kick or whatever, you get burned in the palm of your hand from his cigarette. And that's another dirty trick that they used to do. And yeah, dude, this guy showed me everything. I became a master.
Nice.
At Street Fighter. And the funny thing is, to this day, I can honestly say it's very difficult, if not, I mean, other than like the major league psychos, those guys are crazy. But besides them, anywhere I go, and if there is Street Fighter, I can't be beaten. And, I went to this place. It's called the Rec Room. It was in the downtown Toronto area, and it's basically a giant arcade for adults, right? And they had like a Super Street Fighter like on a big screen. Nice. And my brother's like, dude, come on, man, you got to play this. And so people kept coming and challenging me. I won like 17 games in a row before I walked away. And I didn't walk away because I lost. I walked away because my beer was getting warm. It was sitting on the bar. And I'm like, okay, dude, I got to go, man. My beer's just like sitting there. And I won like 16 or 17 matches in a row. And I still got it. Like at 45 years old, I'm like, all right, still got this.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. So Mortal Kombat came out. Then Mortal Kombat changed everything. Then it was all the culture around the fatalities. It was like, if you knew a fatality, you were the coolest kid in the entire arcade because nobody knew what they were.
Right.
Nobody knew how to do them. There wasn't a guide. The guides didn't come out to the internet till like Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 or whatever, right? And then you could print them out on that. Remember that stupid paper with all the holes in them?
Yep.
And you could print up like the Mortal Kombat fatalities that some guy typed out. And so, did all that. My neighbor, who actually his father ended up hitting it really big with money or whatever. So he started buying all these consoles now. So now I'm doing like the 90s arcade, like fighting games and all that stuff. And then moved into, then he ended up buying like a 3DO, which was like
Nice.
$2,000 at that time or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And so he bought a 3DO. He had, what the hell else did he have? Well, he had basically everything. He had like all the Sega consoles. He had all the Nintendo consoles. He had the 3DO. Oh, the Neo Geo. That's the other one. I couldn't remember the name of it. He had the Neo Geo. He had all kinds of stuff like that, right? So
Nice.
I go over there and we just play relentlessly. And then I'm going to fast forward to the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And the PlayStation, I heard about it about a year before it came out, because keep in mind it came out in Japan, right? And then
Yeah.
a North American release was gonna come later. And then I started seeing like screenshots of games that were going to be coming out in like within the first, like, I guess the launch window of the console. And the big one was Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. So I was like, okay, let's take a look at this. And I go, holy mackerel, it looks exactly like the arcade. This is unprecedented. And then I saw my first screenshots of my forever loves, Resident Evil.
There
and
you
I
go.
saw the screenshot of the very first Tomb Raider. And I just said, this is it. This is a continuation for me of like that King's Quest, right? Of that King's Quest moment of going back, of like adventure, action. I was a huge Indiana Jones fan too, right? I love those movies and stuff. And I I still watch them to this day. And I love that kind of like that setting, that vibe, the whatever, the ancient jungles and like the secrets and treasure hunting and all that kind of stuff. And I saw the Tomb Raider screenshots and I'm like, I'm buying this day one. I don't care how much it cost. And I did. I mean, the console cost $1,000 on launch day.
Wow.
And yeah, it was $1,000 on launch day, and it was $110 a game. And I bought a couple of games with it on launch day, whatever. And and dude, it was crazy. And then that's it. And then I became a PlayStation guy. I ditched everything else. I stopped going to the arcade. The arcades were basically on their way out anyway, but there was no point in going to an arcade anymore. The arcade was now in my living room.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got the same experience for the first time ever. Because you remember like all those promises in the 90s. Oh, it's just as good as the arcade. And you got it home and it was nothing like the arcade. Now, Sony brought it so that it was like the arcade. So then it went PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. I actually never bought an Xbox, even though like everybody considers me an Xbox guy. I actually never bought the original Xbox. I had no interest in it whatsoever. I had no interest in Halo. Nothing. I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever, it's there. And then I kept going with PlayStation. Then then the Xbox 360 came out, and my friend had it, and I said, let me check this thing out, because I was at his house anyway. So I said, let's check this thing out. Checked it out, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Right? This is incredible. And so I bought a 360, and that was it. Then I became an Xbox guy. I was sold right then and there, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. PS3, I'm like, whatever. You could sit in the corner with a dunce cap for all I care. I'm not paying that price for this thing. You remember how expensive it was?
Oh yeah,
yeah, ridiculous.
I get the fat model. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Remember the fat model where it had like the PlayStation 3 written like with the Spider-Man font,
backwards compatible. PlayStation 2 built into it. Yes, I remember that.
It was great. I mean, it was great for that, but man, it was expensive.
Yep.
So I just held off on that, and I became an Xbox guy. And then my first achievement popped. And that's when I was like, holy, what's this? What the hell was that?
Yeah.
And then I started looking into the achievements. And then I'm like, now I've got a new angle to stretch these games out even longer, where I actually have motivation to do something beyond just finishing the game. So I started getting achievements. Now I'm up to like, I don't know. I'm nowhere near Rand, obviously, and none of those guys, but I'm about 400,000 achievement points, whatever.
That's great.
So yeah, so I really like that. And then then I did get the PS3, and then I saw Uncharted. And Uncharted actually came with the system, because I bought it a couple years after it was already out, right?
Right. It's a good bundle.
So I played Uncharted, and I'm like, this is like Tomb Raider on cocaine.
Yep.
Right? So I'm like, here we go. So I started getting into the PlayStation. So now I'm going back and forth. Then the next gen came. I got Xbox first. PlayStation came after. Same deal. I waited for PlayStation to release a whole bunch of their big banger games, and then I played all those like in one shot, basically within the last 3 years of the PS4 gen.
Yeah.
I play all their games in one shot. And then, of course, the new ones that came out, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2, which, by the way, still my game of the year 2020. I don't care what anybody says.
Love
And
it.
then, of course, this gen. Well, this gen was a little different for me because now at this point I became, well, what we're doing right now, a podcaster, a
Yeah.
YouTuber, a content creator, a somewhat local celebrity, so to speak. I'm not being an ass. I'm just being,
No.
but
Sure.
that kind of thing where like I
Yeah.
became known. And so I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. If you're known, you can't just buy that Xbox and buy a PlayStation 5 years later. Like you got to buy them all at day one because when they come up in those shows and you need to talk about this stuff and whatever else. And plus I'm interested. And plus, let's face it, I'm turning 47 this year. So therefore I have the expendable income to do so. I don't have to sit there and go, well, I can afford one and I'll have to, wait for my allowance to be able to get another one. Like, it's no longer the problem.
Right.
So I went crazy this gen. So this gen, now I've got an Oculus Quest 2. I've got two
Nice.
Xbox Series X. I've got two Switches. I got two PS5s, a PC.
Nice.
So I'm set. I got everything. I literally
Yeah.
have everything. And I've got games for all of them. Games I haven't even touched yet. But I've got games for all of them, whatever. I try to get to them all. But now I'm a more well-rounded gamer. I mean, I always was, but I played all the games from all the systems. But now it's like I trade back and forth, right? Like I played my Xbox right up until January 28th. And now it's going to be nothing but PlayStation till March. And then from March, I'm going to go back to Xbox and I'm going to play Elden Ring. And then from Elden Ring, I'm going to go back to PlayStation and play Forspoken. And you know what I'm saying? So on and on. And that's the journey. And the crazy thing is that as I approach 50, I'm playing more than I ever have in my entire life. And it's insane to me that instead of slowing down and be like, oh, my thirst for it is getting stronger. So anyway, that's the whole journey in a nutshell for you.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Well, and I guess you're really quenching your thirst with Game Pass, huh?
Yes.
Well, that'll feed you pretty hard, man. I love that thing.
That's a bit of a problem. But at first, I got to tell you, at first I was excited about Game Pass. I'm like, this is awesome. This is great. This is amazing. Whatever. But then there's always those third-party titles that you're going to buy. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like this year, you got Hogwarts Legacy coming out. That's a must-buy for me because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Then you've got, what the hell is it called? Suicide Squad, Gotham Knights. I want to play those games. Those are all third-party games. And then you got like first-party Sony games like Forspoken, Horizon Forbidden West, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves. I bought all those games already. They're just basically waiting to be played. So I'm doing all that. Then Forspoken, then God of War later in the year. So I have to buy those games. And then on top of that, you keep dumping Game Pass on me like a dump truck, backing it up into my house and just beep, beep, beep. And then I'm like, guys, slow down. Like I have a life. I got a job. I got kids. I got, you know what I'm saying? And that's like the crazy thing is that I can't keep up. And I don't think they expect you to. But the thing is, it's a shame because there's a lot of games I want to play. But the problem is I don't have the time to do it. And I could barely get through like a game a month at this point, depending on like how busy I am, whatever's going on. But like I could barely get through a game a month. And last year was extraordinary. I got through 40 games last year, which was amazing. Mind you, I was also off work for the entire summer. So that kind of helped. But, now I took a major promotion at work. I'm now
Congratulations.
Part of the Thank you. I'm now part of the executive club, whatever, of the management team or whatever of the corporation I work with, and which is great. However, that takes away time again because now I'm the guy. Okay, I'm the guy. I'm lying in bed and I'm getting phone calls. I wake up and I got messages waiting for me at 4 a.m. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that or whatever. And I'm like, I can't game for 8.5 straight hours without going to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like I can't do it. I don't have the time. But it is wonderful. But I gotta say, with all my complaining and all my old man complaining, whatever else, I gotta say this has got to be the golden age of gaming that hasn't been seen since the 80s. And I would say since the mid 80s. Like let's say between 84 and 87 was like truly the golden age of like whether it was in the arcades or whether it was the emergence of the Sega Master System and of course the Nintendo Entertainment System and everything in between. This right now, we are facing a renaissance of gaming, and it's only going to get better.
Amen to that, because it really is. And man, it's just like you said. There's just so much to do, so much stuff to play. It's amazing, and there's more than just gaming back then compared to gaming now. Is like my wife, she can't play 3D games. They make her nauseous.
Yeah.
So, but she was huge on like Donkey Kong Country, those games were
like
her jam.
side-scrolling and stuff.
Just love those Yoshi story. Those love those. Absolutely loves them. But like her thing now is like she's on her phone playing Candy Crush type games all the time.
Right.
I mean, I remember a time when she would, like me and my son be playing, and she's like, you guys come in here, supper's ready. And it's like, okay, just a minute, we're trying to get to this level. That's just a silly game. You can pause it or you can play it later. That kind of attitude, and I'm like, all right, yeah. But then she's playing her game. You're like, honey, we gotta go. Time for dinner. Just a minute. I'm like, that's why I said that to her once. That was the only time I ever said that to her, because she got mad. I was like, but honey, you can do that later. You can save it. You can. And just the look I got, I was like, I was just kidding. I didn't. I just stopped.
Wow.
I was like, I'm ready, because she looked at me like, you gonna go there?
That's like some of the people, very few. I mean, because now gaming is such a mainstream thing now. It's no longer the nerdy sort of side thing it used to be. Whereas people would be like, even up until like 5 years ago, people would be like, ugh, what are you doing? You're like an adult playing video games. I'm like, it's not Pac-Man anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a kiddie stuff. It's not like little, like just little children, child's games, children's stories, that kind of stuff. It's not silly little beeps and boops. Now they got games dealing with murder and rape and betrayal and like real serious just go play The Last of Us 2 and just like, you know what I mean? And like the subject matter in that game overall is unbelievable. And like, but the thing is, and a lot of people would be like, oh, you just waste your time playing video games. And then those same people will sit down and watch Netflix for 7 hours.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. And you're doing the same thing. It's just that your medium of entertainment is different than mine. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But anyways, whatever.
How many times can you watch Mama's Family? I've seen it 7 times. I love it. What? All right. Maybe that was a bad example. Gilmore Girls, maybe. I don't know. but so let's get into I guess great on your gaming adventure and through your life. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. But like, what kind of what kind of jobs have you had? And everybody starts off someday, your first job compared to what you're doing nowadays.
I'm a professional chef. I'm an executive chef.
Nice.
I've sold the restaurants are now sold, but I used to be a restaurant owner as well, and did all that. I am still a chef now, obviously. Been 20 something years now. Geez, almost 3 decades.
Wow.
And now I'm a chef for a retirement home corporation.
Nice.
And now I'm moved up to basically I'm head of kitchen operations now. So I'm basically in charge. I mean, there's someone above me. However, she's not really there all that often. It's just kind of like, basically it's me. You know what I mean? Right. So she's off like running around to different buildings in different parts of the country and whatever else to oversee things. And the day-to-day operations are now on my head, which is fine. And then they've also put me on the management squad as well, like upper management team or whatever. And I'm on the corporate board now.
That's
so
nice.
I've done a lot of sacrificing over the years, but I've been doing that. I mean, like, okay, for my sure, first jobs, go back to like, working in a what the hell are those places called? Man, what do they call those places where they sell like flowers and like yard stuff and like rolls of grass and nurseries. There you go, nursery.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I was thinking babies, and I'm like, right, nursery. I used to work for a nursery like way back when. I was just one of those kids, that like would like sweep the aisles at like 5 minutes before close.
Yeah.
Those kind of jobs, whatever, did things like that or whatever. And then I worked in a couple of hair salons or whatever. They're always surrounded by beautiful women and stuff. It was great. And then right into the restaurant thing. And then I've been in the restaurant thing ever since, man. But I'm out of the restaurant scene. But now the retirement home scene is obviously much more, conducive to my lifestyle now with a family, kids. I actually have a life. I don't have to work weekends anymore. It's like I can't complain about any of that. I mean, that's never happened in a restaurant. I never had a Saturday night off. It's impossible.
Yep, I'm with you.
If I needed a Saturday night off when I was working in a restaurant, I had to book it like 4 to 6 months in advance.
Wow.
I get it off. I'm not kidding. Like I'd have to, like it'd be like January, and I knew I had a wedding coming up in June. I'd have to book it off like in January. And then when I wasn't there for the day that I booked off, they'd all be pissed off at me that I didn't show up to work. And I'd be like, I told you, like I was like 6 months ago. And they would still be upset because the thing is with that business is that, I mean, not to sound like whatever, but when you're good, they don't want you to have a life. They want you to be there all the time because you're the producer.
Yep.
You're the one who makes things happen. You're the one. And that's what I became because I wanted to be the best. And when I strive to be the best at something, I don't be like, I'm going to go around here. I see this as the top level. I start aiming for up here, for way above. And so the point is that I try to outshine everybody. That comes with a lot of hate, obviously, resentment, obviously, which I get a lot of. And that's fine. That's all part of the game. It's I did hear a quote a long time ago from Tom Brady of all people. He said, "Winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners."
There you go. Yeah.
So you get a lot of that, and so you get used to that, especially when you succeed and you start doing well, and then like ownership starts looking at you, going, "That's the guy." They make you, and then all of a sudden, from being the guy who was working the fryer on a Saturday night, just dropping French fries. Within a year, you're the sous chef, second in charge of the restaurant, and then within a year of that, you're the executive chef of the restaurant, calling all the shots.
Right.
And then the guy that that was talking smack about you like 5 feet over is still working the same job, but now you're his boss.
Yeah.
So you see where the resentment comes in.
Oh, yeah.
And so that kind of stuff happens. It still happens, not so much these days because I kind of backed off from all that. Because once you reach a certain level, you're just like, you know what? I'm not looking for accolades. I'm not looking for awards. They gave me employee of the company like 3 days ago. I didn't even notice. My name was on the wall. And I was like, what the hell is that? And they're like, oh, they give you an award. They told you about it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not doing it for awards.
Right.
I'm doing it because I do it. I love what I do. I do it well. I enjoy the work. I like being on my feet. I like moving moving around. I do an average of about 24, like I got a Fitbit on. I usually do about an average of about 24,000 steps per shift.
Wow.
24,000.
That's a lot.
Shift. So on average, I'm oh my God, you're American. I forgot. I'd have to calculate what 73 kilometers is to miles for you guys. But
I got a ballpark.
I'd say ballpark about 50 miles. A week.
Yep.
Is what I walk
in
the kitchen. And I exercise at home on top of that. So
nice.
You know what I'm saying? So like I have a ton of energy. I keep it going, but the thing is you got to keep it going. And that's why I like being in that business, because that business just pumps you and just get like, I start work early, like 5:30 in the morning. I'm already there, like AM. It's still dark outside and I'm already there, busting my hump, but I'm by myself. I got the tunes blasting. I love it.
Yeah.
I'll be making muffins, fresh bread, putting away an order while the 18-wheelers that, throwing stuff into the kitchen. I'm putting it away. I'm running around. I'm setting up breakfast. I have to cook eggs, if you can believe it. Eggs to order for 150 people every morning by myself. And it has to be done within 15 minutes. So those orders come in fast. And so you're doing all that kind of stuff. Things like that. I love that stuff. So, I mean, and like I said, it gives me that energy. And then I try to pour that, especially positive energy. I try to pour that energy and positive energy into everything I do, whether it's gaming and whether it's obviously my job, my career, and of course, what we're doing right now, podcasting, YouTubing, Twittering, whatever the hell you want to call it, tweeting, all that kind of stuff. I try to pour it into all of that too. But I mean, it's not a show. This is my personality. It's, you know what I mean? So I guess I sort of gravitated towards something that was high energy to begin with.
Right.
But I do like the fact that when I started doing this, Noof Nukem was the one who actually gave me my first job. He gave me my first crack at the podcasting thing.
Right.
I reached out to him because I mean we talked a few times, just like, hey, that was it, right? It was just like, and then he had a community game night, and I joined them one night, and we spoke for like a couple minutes, and that was it, not a big deal. And then I reached out because I found out that he needed a panel member for Gaming After Dark, and that's when I threw my hat in the ring, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this. However, I got to tell you, all of this has to do with my wife. And the reason why, before I get back into the new thing, is my wife was the one who bought me my first microphone. She was the one who bought me the arm. She was the one that bought me the muter. She was the one that bought me the camera and all this other stuff. But she didn't buy it all at once. She's buying me little things at a time to be like this tiny little kick in the ass every once in a while.
Yeah.
Going, get out there and do it. You have the personality for this. And I'm like, but I'm scared. I've never done this before. And then she's like,
awesome.
just go and do it. And she would like literally like give me hell about it, right? And I'd be like, I'm scared. I don't want to do this. But the thing is, she'd listen to podcasts while I'd be like in the shower or something. Because I listened to like Dealer. I listened to, back in those days, Dealer was the first one I ever found. And what an honor, by the way, fast forward like 6 years. And the very first podcast and the very first shows and the very first YouTube videos I ever watched, gaming ones, were Dealer Gaming. And I idolized the guy. And then all of a sudden, I'm on Xbox and I'm talking to Dealer, and he's like, "Hey man, how's it going? We're gonna play something tonight or what?" And this and that. And we talk. I've done 3 shows with Dealer.
Yeah.
Randall Thor, another one. I listen to Rand a lot. Rand and I are friends now. I mean, the guy trolls me while I'm doing shows. So like I'm doing shows and like, okay, so I'll give you an example. Like, here's the screen. Obviously, I'm looking straight at the screen of the PC, whatever. Here's my camera. And I have another screen that I have down on the desk. It's easier for me to read. So what I do is I keep this screen that's in front of me clean so I can see all the other guests in the show.
Right.
But the chat I have on another screen facing down. So I look down at it so I don't have to strain past all the other images on the screen. So I just look and I go like this and I see the chat. So when I do that, I'm looking down like this. So Rand always screenshots me like this. So it looks like I'm sleeping. So he keeps sending me pictures and he's like, I see you're sleeping on the show again. He goes, must be a really exciting show. And I'm like, Rand, I swear to God, please stop. And then he started saying it on the other shows. Like he did another show.
I heard it.
Yeah, he did it with Kay Asante and Everborn on the Gaming Circle podcast. And he's like, yeah, Mag's always sleeping on the show. And I'm in the shower and I'm freaking out. I'm like, Rand, I'm going to kill you. But anyways, but in all seriousness, Rand and I have had some good talks here and there, a lot of good things we've discussed and whatever else. And we're friends now, but it's wild. That after all that, whatever. But the thing is, it doesn't come for free. And that's another thing. Like a lot of people think like, oh, just got lucky. No, this is a lot of hard work. Yeah, I'm a great talker. I could talk people's faces off. I was doing that before podcasting, and then being in the restaurant business is a very social business, right?
Yep.
You're working, you're constantly talking while you're working. Like you'd be there for 12, 13 hours. You're talking to the guys all around you. What were we talking about? Video games, because we're all gamers. And we talk, video games, women, and booze. That was basically it, right? We talk about that all day, all night. And then as soon as we were done work, we'd hit the bar in the restaurant. We just start drinking for free all night because the bartenders, we always used to feed them for free. We'd always feed them for free, and the bartenders would give us free beer after work. So so we would, that's kind of how we did it. So the thing is, like, none of this comes for free. Right. The point is like when I decided to get into this, and I talked to Noof and I said, listen, I finally had the balls to actually talk to him and say, give me my shot. And he said, fine, you have your shot. And it was so kind of cringy because he actually posted my last YouTube video. I think when I finally left Gaming After Dark a few weeks ago because of the new job, I couldn't do the show anymore. At least not at that time zone, because his time zone is 2 hours behind me. Right. So like when it's 10 o'clock for him and, the show's wrapping up, whatever, it's after midnight over here.
Right.
So it's getting a little, even before this job, it was actually tight enough as it is because I have to get up with my kids. I have to get them ready for school, all that kind of stuff at like 7 o'clock in the morning. That's rough, So I was like, but now it's impossible. Now it's impossible because of the new job, everything else. But anyways, Noof posted just a few weeks ago when I quit the show. he posted my very first appearance ever on YouTube. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't heard it since I did it. So let's hear it. So I heard it and it was kind of cringy. I was like I could see I was trying a little too hard.
Right.
But the thing is, when I found my zone, then I was fine. And then I realized I'm like, wait a minute, you know what? Just be you. Be knowledgeable, but at the same time, be entertaining. You can't be a drone. I've seen people drone on shows where I'm just like, oh my God, this is not going anywhere. And you lose the attention of the listener, right? And then the thing is, when you're doing this kind of stuff, you not only have to get their attention, you have to demand their attention. And the only way to demand someone's attention is to grab them by the throat with whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
And pull them in like an actor. And that was another thing. I did a lot of acting when I was in school and high school and all that stuff, even university and all that. I was even part of like professional drama crews and stuff. We used to do big productions, all that kind of thing. And they always said that. They're saying, get someone in the crowd to emotionally invest in you. Get them.
Yeah.
Grab them and pull them in. That person will never forget that performance. Because they'd be like, holy, this guy's touching my soul right now. He's getting to me or whatever, right? And so I applied that same thing to this. And all of a sudden, I'm like, just grab him. Just grab him. That's what you have to do. You just got to grab him. So I started doing that and then started doing whatever. Then Gaming After Dark happened. After the very first episode of Gaming After Dark, literally the same night, I finished the show. No, well, it was about 5 hours later. Boom. Mr. Boomstick XL, for anybody who doesn't know out there. He sends me a message and he's like, I need you on my show tonight. I'm like, I don't even know you. I mean, I knew who he was. I've been listening to shows for a long time. I had listened to shows for like 2 years. I actually used to listen to Boom when he was when he was a regular panel member on Crossfire with Mooch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was him. It was Boom. It was Mooch. It was Crap. And Xbot 448. They were all regular. I think Predator H2O was on there too. I can't remember. Anyway, all those guys were on there. And I used to listen to Boom then, and he was one of my favorite sort of cast members of like the Crossfire podcast. And then he branched out on his own. So I knew who he was. I listened to all his shows. And then I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, I just finished listening to your show. I need you on my show right now as a guest. I'm like, okay. I'm like, send me a topic list. It's, and at that point, the thing is I wasn't too rehearsed yet. So I needed topic lists because then I would write everything down because I'd be scared, right? I had a sheet of paper, sometimes multiple sheets of paper. I'd be scared. I didn't want to. Yeah. And I just have all these things. And so I did all that. I did the very first show. 30 minutes into the show, he DMs me and he says, I've never done this before. He goes, but your very first show, it's only been half an hour. I want you as a permanent member on the show.
Nice.
And I'm like, from that, he's like, you're blowing my socks off right now. And he goes, my DMs are lighting up. Everybody asking who the hell you are. And I'm like, I just started. And this is just a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Not 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever. And the thing is, now I'm doing what I'm doing. It's only a year and a half. And I am noticing. And again, this is not the sound whatever. Some people might interpret it as arrogant. It's not. It's just logistics. I like to look at logistics. Sure. And I'm looking at guys who have been on YouTube for like 5, 6 years, whatever. I've already surpassed them in terms of like views, in terms of followers, subscribers, that kind of stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it all boils down to that. And like I said, it's not a competition. It's not like I'm sitting there going, I'm better than you now. Like it's nothing like that. It's not like that at all. I'm just striving to be the best I can be. And so when I notice results, I'm like, okay, clearly this is working. And it all goes back down to that idea of go out there, reach out, grab them and pull them in. Yeah. Right. And that's something I've always wanted to do. And that's, I don't know, that's kind of like the influence that I sort of been using like this last year and a half or whatever, bordering on, well, it's coming up to it'll be 2 years in the end of July.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's a year and a half. And like even guys that I used to, like, again, I idolize guys like Mooch. I listen to Crap a lot, Crap Gamer a lot, but back in those days, I know a lot of people have a thing with him, whatever. But it is what it is. And then obviously Rand and Dealer and all those guys, and even Colt Eastwood. I talked to Colt Eastwood on occasion here and there. He's a little bit more like elusive, because he kind of does his own thing. But he's there. So I talked to all those guys, but it's funny. And it's like, and then obviously Boom and Noof and Titan Drago and Pong Soul and all these other guys and Mav Fun Speculation, like all these guys. And the thing is, all of a sudden these invites start coming in. And I've done every single one of their damn shows. I've done 4 Crossfires now.
Wow.
And it's so bizarre to me that, I mean, apart from the fact that Mooch and I almost sound the same, with the yelling and stuff. And it's kind of funny because we're both Italian. We're both from the same area. We're both originally from New York. I mean, our families were anyway. And it's funny that we almost have the same demeanor in a lot of ways. I mean, we don't sound the same, but I think it's the intonation, whatever.
Right.
But anyways, the point is that we've all these guys have reached out. Wilmy Hood, he's another one. I've done a lot of shows with Wilmy and Fork Boy and those guys, right? And actually, just was it last week? Yeah, it was last week or the week before. I was just sitting there playing video games, and Wilmy was on there. He said something funny, and I put like an LOL in the chat, and I kept playing my game. And then Wilmy just goes, "Mag, get your ass on the show now. Link is sent." I'm like, okay. So I put my game on pause. Went over to the PC, threw on the headphones. I ended up doing 2 hours with Wilmy, and
nice.
It's just like kind of happens, right? And
just
like the thing, now I don't need topic lists.
Good.
I'm invested so much now into not only the ecosystem but into like the community. I know everybody. I know what's going on. There's not a piece of news that can slip past me that I won't know about. Whatever. I've spoken to Phil Spencer like 3 times. Wow, that's a pretty major thing. Like, I mean, the guy, like, I had correspondence with the guy, like, a personal emails about a couple things that we had discussed, a few things, whatever. And it's like, so now, like, there's no piece of news that I'm not going to hear about, right? So, I don't need any of that stuff anymore. So now it's all coming more natural. And that's where now I feel like I'm hitting a stride with all that kind of stuff. And when people invite me, I mean, obviously, if I'm not home, I can't help you. But if I'm home, if someone invites me on a show, I'm more than happy to go on there and just be like, yeah, man, awesome. Yeah, for sure. He's kind of like Pong Soul. Like that guy's on every show on earth. Every time I turn on a YouTube channel, it's Pong Soul's on there.
3 today that I'm aware of.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah. So, that's crazy. Well, dude, you have such a great personality, and you have such a, I guess, I don't know, the passion you put behind what you do, and then and damn, you are funny. You do really do. You come up with some really good stuff and zingers, and just even some of them would be like the rant or the this is under my skin and I'm gonna tell you about it. And it's awesome. I love it when you do that. I mean, Boom definitely was very wise to ask you to be on the show, and that's obviously where I discovered you, was watching his shows. And I mean, like I said, the more people that watch you, I think it's really good for the community.
Oh, great. That's a huge compliment. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, when it comes to those videos that I do and all that stuff, the reason why a lot of people keep saying, "Oh, you got to put them on YouTube. You got to put them on YouTube," and I'm like, you know what? I don't, and there's a reason why. A lot of the stuff that I do, first of all, it's very a lot of the stuff that I do is a lot of eureka moment stuff. I'm very much into situational comedy. I always have been, and I try to react. It's almost like reactionary comedy. Like, so when I see something ridiculous happen that someone's taking seriously, I have to parody how serious they're taking whatever the hell it is, and how stupid it is, or how ridiculous it is. Yeah, okay, sometimes I go way over the top. Obviously, I dress up in my wife's bra and I put on the red the red wig with the pigtails, so I look like Aloy from Horizon Forbidden West. I do things like that. I make fun of the Sony guys a lot. And a lot of people actually don't like that. They're like, "Why do you always make fun of Sony guys, but you don't make fun of Xbox guys?" And I'm like, you know why? Because the Xbox guys just aren't as ridiculous as you guys. There are obviously there's hardcore fanboys and all that kind of stuff on
both
the Xbox side. Of course there is. There's Nintendo, like I call them Nintendo lunatics, because I don't know how the hell you can defend Nintendo making the same goddamn game for 50 years and no one says a bloody word. And it's like Mario Sunshine Switch. And I'm like, it's the same as the one that came out for the 64, for the Wii, for the Wii U, for the, you know what I mean? It's like, but anyways, I call them Nintendo lunatics. And then Xbox guys, PlayStation guys. But for some reason, the PlayStation like hardcore like fanboy guys, they get so serious about it that I cannot help but to absolutely like parody these guys because
Pokemon
they
stick.
take it so seriously. But the funny thing is, actually, the irony is that a lot of the videos I do poking fun at the Sony guys, and I poke fun at like the Sony brass because they're ridiculous too. I think Jim Ryan's ridiculous. I think what the hell is his name? The guy who created the PlayStation 5, the engineer. I always forget his damn name.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of it.
Yeah. And I just did a video dressed up as him, and I can't even remember his damn name. See what happens when you get old?
What?
Mark Cerny. There it is. Yeah. I dressed up. I even had a wig on. I had a Mark Cerny wig on and his little glasses and the whole thing. And so I did all that, But the thing is, they're just so funny to make fun of. And so, like to me, it's so easy to make fun of. But the irony is that I've gotten so many more PlayStation fans that follow me and now have added me on the PlayStation 5 than I ever did before I started doing this. Because I think they've come to realize they're like, yeah, okay, you know what? I like PlayStation. Because all those guys that play on the PlayStation that I'm friends with, they're all, spoiler alert, they're all normal. They don't really care about any of this stuff, right? They're just like the PlayStation guys. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. It's the hardcore idiots that I have to make fun of, and that's where I get into that, right? So I enjoy making fun of it, but obviously it strikes a chord. You know, it like the first ones, I get like 100 views, 100 likes, then it turned into like 500, then it turned into like 1,000, and then all of a sudden one day I'm just like, did I just get 980,000 views?
Wow!
And I'm like, I literally have to go back and look at the logistics and like, did I just hit 1 million? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, awesome, how the hell did I get 1 million people to watch me in a bra or jump off my balcony and almost sever my shoulder when I was, separate my shoulder when I was pretending I was Nathan Drake and I was crawling across my balcony outside of my house. And then I threw myself off like Nathan Drake and I almost separated my shoulder. And I'm like, that got like 450,000 views. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like people are actually, and then I look at my sub count starts going, it starts going up and up and up and up and up. And I'm like, crazy. And then I get people from all over the world, from every country imaginable. Saudi Arabia, can you imagine? Egypt. I get people like hitting me up from, hey, it's me from Egypt. I love your show and I love what you do. I'm like, you're in Egypt watching me? It's crazy. Like it's crazy to me, right?
That's awesome.
It's wild. And then all of a sudden I just realized I'm like, I mean, like, again, not to sound whatever, but it's just like, oh my God, like people know me all over the world. Obviously not like Tom Cruise or something, but I mean, still, like,
no.
Or like Robert Downey Jr. I'm just saying in our little world.
Yep.
In our little influencer. World, I've become something and I'm like, this is wild. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Now, the only thing is that comes with that, there are responsibilities. I talked about it on Primetime Gaming just last week. And I talked about the responsibilities of that when you start, because Boom was the one who mentioned it. He says, he's like, Mag, you got a tremendous following now. Actually, I just put out a tweet yesterday. Nice. Just a regular tweet, no video, no nothing. And I was just, all it was I was just talking about, I said, did anybody else get this gut feeling that it almost feels like Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft are kind of working together to keep like Tencent and everybody out of the gaming business? So they're buying up all these publishers, but they're keeping them third party just to kind of have like, not really working together like in terms of collusion, but they're working together to keep it all under one umbrella. Right. And keep it away from like the Amazons, the Apples, the Tencents, whatever. Right. So I put a tweet about that. 70,000 people. And I'm like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Like 70, it said how many people reacted to your tweet. And I looked, I'm like, 70,000 for just words? Like I didn't even have to make a video. And so like, I'm just like, this is wild. Then there are challenges. The challenges are you don't want to say stupid stuff. Right. Okay. Like you got to have some form of responsibility when you got a lot of people listening, because then people start to idolize, you in a certain way. Some people do. Some people just treat you as like a regular guy because I'm just a regular guy and whatever. But the thing is, like, you also have to be careful about what you say. And that's, I haven't, knock on wood, whatever wood. I'm usually pretty careful about what I say on social media, whatever else, and that kind of stuff. I don't say anything too outlandish, not to hurt anybody's feelings or, You know, I don't get into like obviously into religion or race or none of that kind of stuff.
Right.
None of that.
Right.
That's
Right.
nonsense. You know, we're all just people. That's the way it goes. And that's fine. But the thing is, you have to have that responsibility about that. But at the same time, I also have to realize that you can't keep doing the same shtick over and over and over because then it gets old.
Right.
Right. So then you face a challenge of one day, do you wait for your viewership to go down and then make the pivot and change? Or do you constantly pivot and change and evolve slowly but surely into different categories in different ways so that you're
Right.
always kind of ahead of the curve and you're always keeping things fresh? So
Right.
like the videos that I've been doing, like for example, a lot of them I do in my basement in my chair, and it's
Mhm.
always the same, like it's always the same shtick where my wife walks in the room,
Yeah.
and that's how all the videos start because she can hear me like complaining or bitching about something in the background, and that's the shtick.
Mhm.
Then she comes and she goes, what's your problem now? And then I'll go into the video.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make another video like that anymore.
Hmm.
That's the last one. The last one I did was the last one. That was a big one, by the way. I got 500,000 views on that one.
Yeah.
So that was pretty wild. I mean, it'll say like how many views like from your end, but from my end, because it's my account, I actually see like the full
Right.
engagement, whatever. So
Right.
you'll see
Right.
like
Right.
50, 60, 70, 80, 90,000 views, whatever. And I think that what that metric is that that's who watched it from beginning to end.
Right.
Right. But whoever's clicked on it, I get those numbers, right? So like then that's
Mhm.
why I talk about 450 to like 500,000 people clicked on that video, whatever, right? But now I'm not going to make those anymore. Now I've got to find the next angle, because if you don't, people are going to be like, oh, it's just the same old crap this guy just releases,
Right.
and they get
Right.
tired of it. And so like you have to constantly evolve. And I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for, I mean, I could easily
Right.
be
Yeah.
doing this for money. The other reason why I keep it off YouTube is because I like to use licensed music. And the
Yeah.
thing is, I specifically, like when I put music in my little videos and my little skits and stuff, that isn't just like fly by night. I just did it. Like I
Right.
just picked some random song. No, I hand pick all those pieces of music. Every piece of music that I play in one of those skits are all hand picked by me because they have some direct meaning to what I just put on the video.
Which makes
Right?
sense. Yeah.
Right. And so like I hand pick them. I'm like, you know what? I need Conan the Barbarian theme song for this because I think that would be really funny because that's what I was going for. So
Right.
it's amazing how many times if you read the comments, it goes through everybody's head. But then there's this one guy, and he'll be in there and be like, dude, I totally got the Conan the Barbarian thing. And I was like, hey. So like you get that one guy who
Yeah.
got it. And I'm like, yeah, that's wonderful. So anyways, yes, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I have some other things on the horizon. I got
Nice.
some new tech. Actually, I got a 4K. Man, I should see if I can find a way to show you, but it's wild. I got a
Ooh, wow.
4K, a 4K 60 FPS camera.
Very nice.
And I'm going to be doing some work with that very soon. I just not really sure when. Hopefully by like March, I'd like
Mhm.
to start doing stuff. I'm going to be doing some new stuff with that, with the YouTube channel. That YouTube channel is going to be completely different from what I'm doing, you know, the Twitter stuff, whatever else, because I'm not
Right.
looking to make money off that stuff. I just think it's funny, and I just hope other people laugh at it too, right?
Right. Right.
But the other YouTube stuff is something else I wanted to take a little bit more seriously, and that'll be. I mean, that kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed because the whole pandemic thing. I
Right.
actually had a whole bunch of different things I wanted to do, and I just didn't have the resources and the people to do it because the pandemic thing, right? So it was a
Right.
whole problem. And so it kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. So I've been delaying for basically 2 years. And I said, you know what? Enough delays. Let's just get this done. Let's get it started, get it out the door. I won't talk about it until it's out the door.
Fair
But
enough.
when it is, you'll be there. You'll be there to know. I'll be, I'll be
Awesome.
right there to show you what's going on and whatever else. And I want feedback from everybody in the community that I talk to and trust. You're on that list. You know what I mean? Like guys
Oh,
that
thank you, sir.
we DM and stuff with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, Dave, you got to check this out, man. What do you think about this? And whatever.
Oh,
Just,
I'll
you
do
know
it,
what I
man.
mean? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you and like Dealer and Rand. And I'm going to show all those guys privately and Colt and all them and be like, what do you think about this? What do you think I can improve? And whatever else. And then obviously,
Right.
you know,
Right.
the Booms and the Noofs and the, you know, and all those guys too. Right. So,
Yeah.
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 So I got to
Well,
have
everybody
some
needs to
grand
make sure
plans.
that they are on your that they have subscribed to your Twitter channel so that they can definitely be informed when that those kind of things happen and that launches, because I'm sure you're going to post it there when that
Oh,
happens, right?
absolutely. Yeah, I'll be posting.
Yeah.
I'll be even posting this there. Like when this launches and this will be on there. I'll be all over that.
Nice.
Doing all that kind of stuff. That's what we do, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's
yeah.
my Twitter handle right there. I can see it right there on the bottom of the screen. So
Plus, it'll
that's
be
the
in the show
Twitter
notes
channel.
too, with a lot of other links and stuff like that to
Oh,
you, and
perfect. That's great.
some of the ones that we just talked about. Some of your videos, we're gonna put direct links in the show notes too, so people can just click on those and
Excellent.
laugh
Yeah.
extremely loud because it's
Oh, good.
some good stuff. Good stuff. Let me ask you a couple of off topic questions, not necessarily off topic, but so with you being such a good chef, cook, as it were, chef. So what is what is your favorite meal to cook? Like this somebody's like, oh, I'm really good at making this. Is there a certain dish or certain, food that you like making?
I gotta tell you,
Hmm.
it's impossible to say. And the only
Okay.
reason why, and because I do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the thing is, I do everything fairly equally so
Nice.
that it comes to that point where I'm just like, I can't pick one. Like as soon as you asked, I'm just like, is it pizza? Is it steak? Is it
Right.
fish? Is it
Yeah.
pasta? Is it any of these? Like I'm like, I don't know because I do them all the same.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I do them all with the same execution, the same like form of excellence that I expect out of myself. I expect
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
short of excellence whenever I do anything, whether it's at home or whether it's at work. I don't
Yeah.
settle for anything other than excellence. And
Well,
so I'm
go
very
ahead.
hard on myself.
Right. Right. Well, let me ask you another question in the same vein.
Yeah.
That just kind of popped in my head while you were talking about this, and that is, so does your wife cook or do you cook for the family? And does she make
Ironically,
you cook?
she is a chef too.
Oh, there
Um,
you go.
and the
Nice.
thing is, well, actually, her name, and she's in all the chats that when we do our shows. Well, not all the chats. Sometimes she's not there for Boom's show, but she's always there for like news shows and stuff. Her name is Chef Trouble, and
There you go.
there you go. And actually, funny enough, myself and another chef years and years ago, we found her resume on the floor in the office, and we called her, and she came in, and we hired her for the job. She's a
Yeah.
complete stranger. I don't know who she was.
Right.
Within a week, we started dating, and
Nice.
we got married and had a family, and we've been together ever since.
Well,
So
that's
it's
awesome, man.
totally wild, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. But no. Actually, ironically, we don't really hang out a whole lot. She's an engineer now. She doesn't do the chef thing anymore. That was years ago. But
Right.
now she's an engineer for the train company for the city of Toronto.
Wow.
And
Nice.
yeah, so she's like, her and I our schedules are usually pretty conflicting. So we really don't like get to sit down a lot and eat together as a family. The irony of your question
Hmm.
is that tonight, well, soonish, I guess, because it's 5 something here.
Yeah.
She said, we're never home together. And today we're actually home together. She goes, I'm going to cook dinner tonight.
Nice.
So the hilarity of you asking that question is
Yeah.
that for the first time in God knows how long, we're actually home together with the kids. Because usually
Right.
it's either me with the kids or her with the kids.
Right.
Right. And then we just kind of trade back and forth. It's almost like the kids are like a football. And like, it's like
Yeah.
I'm coming home from work. She's leaving work. It's like laterals the kids to me. And then I go back in the house and in the end zone. And
Right.
it's just like that's how we operate, right? And then sometimes what I like to joke is that when we see each other in the hallways, we see each other for like 5 minutes a day. So we have what I call the hallway meeting. She gives me the breakdown of everything that happened throughout the day, and I'm like, all right, got it. I'll see you tomorrow, and that's it. Then I don't see her
Yeah.
until the next day. So yeah. So to answer your question, we generally don't eat together. I eat at work a lot, as
Yeah.
you would imagine, because I
Right.
mean I've got hundreds of pounds of food in front of my face all day. So I usually make something to eat there at work, and I eat. And when I come home, I'm usually not that hungry because I eat a lot there. So I'm just
Right.
like, no, I'm good. But yeah, yeah, well, on that rare occasion, there she is. She's up cooking right now.
That's
There you go.
fantastic. Well, we're gonna start to wrap this up then, because I don't want
All right.
to intrude anymore on your day. No, seriously. No, seriously.
All good, man. It's
I
all
got
good. This
I
has
got
been an
to
absolute blast.
Well, good, man. I appreciate it. I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you better. And I'm sure the people that are watching this are like, wow, I didn't know that about him. And that's why we do in this series, is to let people know about the people that we're interested in. And like I said, man, Thank you so much for being here. So let's get to this. A couple of quick questions. These are gaming
Sure.
questions, and then this is not trivia. This is not like Fonz. Love Fonz, but whoo, I couldn't answer one of his questions. I guarantee it. So what is your favorite game franchise of
Ooh.
all time,
Ooh.
or
Can
or
I
game? Yeah, you
can
can
I
do
give
multiples.
two tied for
You
first
can.
place because they're the same genre?
Yeah,
Tomb Raider and
yeah,
Uncharted.
yeah,
If you could
yeah,
get those two sandwiches and squish them together and make one action adventure, globe-trotting, treasure hunting, Indiana Jones adventure, you give me my Tomb Raider and
yeah,
you give me my Uncharted. Just like I said, like literally an hour ago when I was talking about PlayStation
yeah,
1,
yeah,
Tomb Raider just stole my attention, and I was just like, wow, this is what I like. Because I was coming off of like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in the movie theaters and stuff, right? And
yeah,
a few
yeah,
years
yeah,
later, then the first Tomb Raider came out. So I was all into like the globe-trotting, jungle faring, scary Aztec, poison darts, booby traps with spikes underneath and dead
Booby
bodies
traps.
hanging. Yeah, like I
Yeah,
love that stuff.
yeah,
And you give me that, and then of course, then you give me Uncharted that's got an even better story with more adrenaline, more action, with characters that you could like. I feel more connected. Not like I mean, you could feel more connected to like Sully and Nathan Drake
yeah.
and damn it, I forget. I was about to say, Sam, his brother, his wife, which I always forget her damn name, the blonde. She was in all the Uncharted,
Yeah,
and I can't remember her name for the life of me. Anyways, like you get connected to those characters. Obviously, Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider trilogy reboot that they did was absolutely stunning. They went for that Uncharted vibe where they gave you a deep story. They gave you like the 20, what was it, 2016? No, 2013 Tomb Raider,
hmm,
and then Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Those games were remarkable. And
yeah.
I literally got 100% completion on every single one of those, including
Nice,
all the DLCs,
nice,
because I couldn't
nice.
stop. I couldn't stop. And actually, speaking of which, Uncharted, I have just platinumed all three original Uncharted games
Very
on the
cool.
PlayStation side. So the Tomb Raiders I've been doing on the Xbox, I've already buried those. Like I got like whatever the 1500s or 2000s out of 2000s on all the Tomb Raiders with all the DLC. Now I went back to PlayStation. I platinumed the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, which is 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
So I platinumed all three of those. So I got 3 platinums there. And now, because Legacy of Thieves just came out a few weeks ago, the PS5 versions of Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, I
Right.
am now currently working on the platinums for those. So I'm going to
Very cool.
platinum the entire series before they, God willing, announce a new Uncharted game and a new Tomb Raider game. But anyways, long story longer, Tomb Raider, Uncharted, tied for first place, greatest franchises of all time.
They're a
Honorable
blast to play.
mention, Resident Evil.
There you go. There you go. I love the original Resident Evil. First time I played it, and then those dogs busted through the glass,
A
and I was like,
damn window.
scared the shit out of me.
You know what the funny thing is? And I didn't even realize it till literally right now that all those, I mean, except for Uncharted, but the Tomb Raider and Resident Evil, it all ties back into that PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
It all
Yep.
ties back into that's when, okay, I discovered gaming before that. I knew that gaming could go and like evolve and get better and better and better, especially
Right.
with stories and adventures. But then those came out and brought it to a new level, and I've never looked back. It's been 25 years, man.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, because it really seemed to to really take you in a fun direction. Games are great, man. I
Oh, yeah.
love them. I love them. So, what is the something that's not out yet, but a game you're most looking forward to that's coming out that you know of?
Gotta go with Elden Ring.
There you go.
I've
That's a good
become a
one.
Souls guy. Not
Cool.
really. I mean, I haven't really become a Souls guy. I bought Demon Souls for PS5, and
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
However, I do not like this convoluted bullshit, baloney about
It's all right.
the well, you have to do all of this way, and then you get like a white stone.
Right.
And then you can, then you can unlock this only if you've done this, and this. If you didn't, you have to go back and play the whole goddamn game again and be a bad guy. And then it'll give you like a black stone, which will unlock a different weapon. And I'm like, can you cut the bullshit? Just give me just give me the game. And anyway, I love the game. I love the fact that I'm like, all right, Meg, this is your 75th time trying to get through this gauntlet to this boss.
Yeah.
What are we going to do different? And I love that. I love the challenge of it. So Elden Ring is up there. And the other one tied for most anticipated has got to be Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh,
because
I'm mentioning it. Yeah.
Yes. Monster Harry Potter fan. I've read the entire book series 4 times over.
Awesome.
And some of those books are like this thick.
Oh, yeah.
And I've read all 7 books and more than 4 times each. I've watched the movies hundreds of times. I've played every single Harry Potter game from the PS1 all the way up until the 360 and the PS3. I played all those games. Well, maybe PS4. I don't even know if they came out for one PS4 and Xbox One. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
For me, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been a long. Either way, it's been a long time. This truly captured my imagination because now I'm like, you're giving me a true, gorgeous open world RPG Harry Potter game.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it's not Harry Potter, it's just a Harry Potter universe, but I'm in. So my most anticipated games, Elden Ring, Hogwarts Legacy, everything else, I'll get them. I'll play them. I'll love them.
Right.
But those are the 2 that I got a candle in the window waiting for.
There you go. Those things you're definitely going to purchase, I would assume.
Oh, they've already, like Elden Ring's already purchased it. I just, every time I turn on my Xbox, I'm staring at the tile. Just sitting there looking at me.
There you go. Mag, thank you so much. Middle-aged gamer guy, game guy, excuse me, middle-aged game guy, dude. Thank you so much for being on today and for being open and talking and stuff. It was really great, and I enjoyed it very much, and I hope you did too.
I did. Well, I absolutely did, man. And I'm not just saying that as just like, oh, it was great. No, this really was great. It was great to talk to you. You're a great person to talk to. You got a great personality on there. Very easy going, very easy to like communicate with. You know what I'm saying? Like it almost felt like we're just kind of sitting around having a couple of beers and just talking kind of deal, right? And
I'm
that's
like, what it should be. Yeah.
That's exactly what it should be. And like very natural and great, man. And you know what? It's awesome. So, and we've been following each other a long time. So it's nice to actually sit down and actually be able to talk. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know we did Boom Show, but you know how hard it is when you got like 6 panel members on there and stuff. And I just kind of like, hey, how's it going at the beginning of the show? And then we don't talk for the whole show.
Right. Well, as soon as you popped on, I made sure I was like, I got to say hi to Meg. So there you go. So tell everybody where they can find you on social media. I know it's all going to be in the links, but let's give you a chance to talk about it real quick.
Of course, yeah. Well, again, thank you for the expose. It was awesome to get my story out there. I really appreciate every minute of it. I actually was really looking forward to this. So this is great. Yes, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at the Middle Age Game Guy. That's with a GY at the end. Of course, you'll see it in the links in the descriptions, of course. On the PlayStation 5 and on the Xbox Series X, you can find me at all one word, all capitals, is I am the Mag. That's with 2 G's. All right, so if you want to add me on PlayStation, you want to add me on Xbox, go right ahead. I'm right there. I am the Mag. All capital letters. So, yeah, and Dave, I don't even know if I have you on there.
No, not yet. We'll get there.
Do it today. You'll find me there. I mean, even if I don't get online today or whatever, I'm always on there. I mean, I'll always see it on my phone or whatever. So it's always there. But and then, of course, if you're following me on any of those things, when I do launch the YouTube situation, you will know about it because if you're following those other 2, I will advertise on those other 3 mediums, right? So I'll be on there. I'm going to do my thing. So I hope everybody likes what I've got done so far, and I really anticipated. I'm excited to see what everybody thinks about what I'm got coming up in the future. So
I'm really excited for it. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, great! Thank you very much. And you know what? While I'm still like getting that all under control, I got to tell you, I'm still out there doing podcasting. I'm not doing Noof Show anymore just because the scheduling didn't match up.
Right.
And it's maybe in the future we can revisit that. Who the hell knows? I'll see how the schedule goes. But right now, The only show I'm doing is Mr. Boomstick XL show, Primetime Gaming, of course, Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern. So we're doing that. And yeah, so you can still catch me weekly on there. So when I'm not busting up Twitter and I'm not getting ready to launch the YouTube channel, you can always find me on Boom Show. But either way, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. And you guys can reach us at outbreakpodcast.com. That's our website. It's probably the easiest way to do it. Obviously, our links and stuff will be in the description below. But we've got links to all of our social media and everything in that. And plus show notes and all the grouped and things together, plus other content we do. We also have other content besides just gaming, but we're starting to get into that because we love it a lot. And during the pandemic, it was like, this will be fun. Let's do this. So I appreciate you being here on the journey, MAGG. And we are definitely not stopping. We got a lot more to get done and a lot more that's already posted by the time yours are up. So this is great. Again, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for everybody for being here on Outbreak Gamers.